Me and Brandon went to the fucking driving range yesterday, and it was really hot. It was a lot of fun, decision. Though. It was a lot of fun, though.
Yeah, until one of you fainted.
Although I haven't been in like 3 or 4 years, my hands, like if I like grip them closed or whatever, they hurt from like hitting like 60 balls.
That's crazy. How's your accuracy?
Not bad, actually. I mean, like, I whiffed on a number of them, but for the most part, I was able to hit it pretty decently.
That's good.
Yeah, although I always tend to slice it pretty rough.
Oh, yeah, I sliced like a motherfucker.
But, I mean, like, sometimes I got it really good, other times it just fucking sliced.
Mine will go, and it's going straight, and it just takes a 90-degree turn. It goes in the other direction. What? I hit
so
a sprinkler once.
Sprinkler, yeah.
Nailed a sprinkler at the driving range, and then the ball. No, it hit the sprinkler and then shot back right over my head. And almost hit someone standing behind me.
Wait, you hit the sprinkler right in front of you?
Yeah, there was a sprinkler like on the driving range, and I guess it popped up once I took my shot, and it like rocketed the ball straight back towards me. So I dodged it, and it almost fucking smacked someone in the head.
Would have hurt.
And on that note, my throat is fucked, apparently. I'm Adam like usual. We got Sean, Dodds, and Matt.
Who?
And Matt. Yes, anyways.
Matt Richard?
Matt Richard. Anyways, what y'all been playing this week?
I'd rather
Anything
not
new,
start.
Sean? No?
Payday 2.
Early.
For hours.
I saw you play Payday
for hours.
Because I was on Steam for like the first time in a year.
Whoa.
I'm like, who is this guy?
Brings you back.
Yeah.
Why the hell are you wearing long socks in a fucking heat wave?
Look at them socks.
Are those sports socks?
They are sports socks. They're Hanes Dry.
That is intense.
Because I wear them to work because they keep my feet dry.
But they don't, because you sweat and then it's all yucky.
No, it's actually, there's a puddle in the bottom of my shoe at the end of the day, and my feet are bone dry.
Huh.
It's amazing.
How does that even work?
I don't know.
That doesn't smell bad.
It's sorcery of some sort.
They're like hydrophobic.
Because look, these are supposed to be like breathing socks too. They're dry wear.
Because they have red
They don't
strips
work.
on them.
No, they're dry
Hanes
wear.
Dry.
Anyway.
Yes, Payday
This
2.
podcast brought to you by Hanes Dry.
Yeah, seriously.
Okay, go. Talk.
Payday 2.
Yes. It's fun. It got stupid after a while because of the Steam sale. So there's a bunch of level 1s that have no idea how to play a video game, apparently.
So you're, playing with the randoms? That's
Well,
always a bad
I was playing
idea.
with Richard, but I mean...
But just the two of you.
He doesn't
or you
play all the
with
time.
Two
Yeah.
randoms.
No, we'll play with just us two.
I don't know what Payday is. You have to explain this.
You're like robbers and you go steal shit.
Thank
Your
you,
team.
Matt.
Matt, would you like to continue? Please continue.
Tell us,
Insert
Matt.
coin.
Yeah.
I'm the host. I'm allowed to speak when I want.
No, damn it!
Go.
So yeah, it's a bank because with 4 people.
Oh, okay.
There's different classes, different weapons.
It reminds me a lot of the intro to The Dark Knight, where like the Joker puts on that mask, because you can all put on masks, and essentially like an organized heist that plays a lot like Left 4 Dead.
Okay.
With like the whole horde element, but you're sort of stuck in a closed area.
When I'm usually playing with Richard, it's just us two, and then the 2 bots, which are horrible to play with because they don't do anything.
Okay.
Awful.
So it's like you're playing with 3 Richards then.
Yeah, essentially. That's what it is. No, he's good.
He is probably
helps.
very good at shooting.
No, but he can actually interact with things the bots cannot.
Okay.
So it actually helps to have at least one more person with me.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, when he's not playing, I usually just pug it with 3 others, and it's a disaster most of the time. Most of the time. Not
But what's the benefit of like winning the things? Like you get money?
What do you mean
or-
winning?
Like actually
You mean
completing
completing it?
the
Yeah,
mission?
you get money.
What do you do with
You get
money?
experience. You buy your skill points and all that. You buy
Okay.
skill points, you buy better weapons, better masks. Well, better
So
masks,
other
better
than
masks.
this game being a gigantic circle jerk, what is
Yes.
the point?
Well, that's what it is. It's just a circle jerk.
Is it-
Giant
But it's
circle
actually
jerk.
fun because there's stealth in it if you actually try. There's you
Uh,
can go just balls deep and just like start blaring your gun all over the fucking place, run out of ammo, then you're fucked.
Okay,
But it still works sometimes.
sometimes.
On the easier difficulties, it works, especially when you're higher up.
Okay, what's the end game? Like what's
Well, there is no end game.
There's
You're playing
no-
the same
just-
levels over and over again. They just keep releasing.
How many
more
levels are there?
A lot. I don't know. I can't count.
You can't count.
No.
Okay, it's good to
And
know.
each one of them has different days. Like you'll do one mission one day, the second mission another day. And if you fuck up, like certain things happen, or you can end up in an escape scene where you just like the car somehow crashes, and all the loot you had is spilled out on the street, and you're just surrounded by cops, and you can survive for some amount of time.
Okay,
Go for it.
Is it first person or third
Yes,
person?
first person.
Okay.
Indeed.
yeah, first person co-op.
But it's fun because one of the abilities in one of the enforcer trees, you get a saw, because the saw cuts into safes faster, it cuts open things. But you could use it as a weapon, and you can attach it to a shotgun.
Oh.
So you can run around with a shotgun and a saw.
That's
So
amazing.
It's like a giant skill saw, but like
Gears of War.
I guess so. But you can kill people with it, but it takes up ammo, obviously.
As
It
opposed
takes
to
up
Gears of
ammo
War.
to use the saw.
Well, it takes up blades because the blade will eventually get dull,
Okay.
especially if you're cutting into like a giant metal safe with it.
Yeah.
What about people's bodies? I feel like that's
They will
considerable.
disappear after a while,
Hmm.
and you can tie people up, which is fun. But it gets super annoying sometimes. Like I was able to solo a few levels, but
Isn't it supposed to be stupid hard alone?
well, it is
Wait.
just
Is there even single player?
well, no. But I just play with 3 bots, and while you're in casing mode, they don't move.
Okay.
They just sit there, like they stare at you until shit goes down. But it's hard by yourself just because you can't keep an eye on all the guards.
Okay.
So if I play the same level enough times when there's only like a small amount of guards, I can do it. Like on all the bigger levels, like we tried one of the newest DLCs. It's called the Big Bank.
Okay.
Fucking gigantic, and there's no way you can do that by yourself.
What are the different varieties of locations? Are you only robbing banks, or
No, there's like different. They've added different stuff. Like I said, they have added like ones where you can be loud. You're essentially just gunfighting with cops. And
I know, but I mean, like, are you only stealing from banks?
Oh,
or,
no,
like,
you're
stealing like
cartels
paintings
involved.
from like museums or something.
one is a painting. Speaking of paintings, is one of the hardest levels there is to do stealth in the final part. Starts off, you got to steal a bunch of paintings from a
Museum.
A museum, yes, indeed. Forgot the name of it. Then you gotta go give them to a dealer because you're putting chips on them to sneak into a guy's, like he's a politician, and you're trying to set him up.
This is one mission.
This is one mission, but 3 days. The first day is stealing the paintings, second day is giving.
Oh,
to
so
another
there's
guy.
different like
Yeah,
missions
and there's
inside the
different-
mission.
Yeah, and there's
Okay.
different varieties that can happen. Like in the second part, everything goes smooth. You can give him the paintings, he gives you the money, and you can just leave.
Mhm.
Sometimes the cops will ambush you immediately. Sometimes they'll ambush you further down, and then it becomes a gunfight, and it's just a pain in the ass.
Interesting.
I think part of the charm is that if you play through the same level more than once, some of the objectives are in different locations. I might be wrong.
Slightly.
I mean, you'll
We're
know.
talking about a couple of meters here, or different rooms.
Well, different rooms because there's like 3 rooms that's usually per that can change and they rotate around. Like one of the banks,
Uh-huh.
there's a security room that you got to get into because the guy's got the cameras,
Okay.
and the room could change in like 2 or 3 different
Oh,
spots.
okay.
So it's always like a change up when you go into it, and there's a certain amount of guards. They have different patterns every
Do you
time.
get a map, or
No. Well, there's a map to start. Like you can look at the.
yeah, but it doesn't
blueprint.
tell you which room is what.
No, it shows you the blueprint. There's inside info that you can buy,
Okay.
and it shows you the location of the security room. But then there's a security card to get in there, and sometimes the manager will have it. Sometimes it's on his desk,
Yeah.
and
Okay.
it throws things off.
Dynamic. That's cool.
But there's one bank one where the phone will keep ringing. You got to keep answering it to keep throwing them off.
Mhm.
But eventually they send guards, and then you got to kill the guards, and then you got to hide the bodies, and then they call you again, and like, oh, the guards aren't showing up. We're sending more. So it's just like a whole bunch of roundabout things to do sometimes. Like that big bank I was saying, it was a disaster to go through. We couldn't get through it, and it was the first time I did it.
Well, cool.
But they made it very interactive now, the actual layout. Because before, you just buy your insider info, you just look at it, you talk, whatever, and then you go for it. This, you can actually detail, plan, draw out your shit on a map,
Wow.
and everyone can see it.
That's really
Like,
cool.
because it's 4 different floors. The place is gigantic. There's different places you can go in from, different things you could choose to, like how you're going to break into the safe,
yeah.
and you all have to agree to the same stuff, or the majority.
Yeah.
But it all costs like extra money. It all costs all sorts of stuff. But it's just like, if you're not doing this with 4 people you're actually communicating with,
Yeah.
it's just a bug. No one's going to give a shit. I mean, we ended up drawing a giant dick on the map because there was a pencil tool, and we just started drawing all sorts of stupidity. For like 20 minutes, we're just sitting there fucking around.
So
I'm
dumb.
like, okay, let's just go and do this. None of us have done it before. Try our best.
That's terrible.
And then we lost.
Of course you did.
Obviously, because there's no planning. Well, like I said on my blog, I've been playing Banished, but I started another campaign now with my added experience. Now, the thing is, I kind of expanded a little too fast. One thing led to another, and a lot of people are dying from starvation.
Explain the premise of
Let's
this game
do
again.
no,
for
but an
everyone.
elevator pitch of Banished.
Well, basically, you are...
Elevator pitch.
No.
10 seconds,
Yeah.
or we don't give a
No,
fuck.
calm
did,
down.
did you read the Steam description of it?
No,
The Steam-
actually,
it's
if you
basically what I said.
I'd like to see some of the gameplay of it afterwards.
Yeah, anyways. It's SimCity, just Sim Village.
There you
No,
go.
that's not it. It's that you're kicked out of somewhere and
Yeah.
you've been banished from it, so you're all by yourself, and then you somehow manage to create a giant city by yourself.
No, well, I mean,
It
like...
seems legit.
Anyways,
Okay.
yeah, basically that's what I wrote. You got banished from a town, and you decide that everyone in that town was stupid, and that you're going to make your own town.
By yourself.
Yes. So
With blackjack and hookers.
that's what I wrote in my blog.
Yes.
With strippers and blackjack. Anyways,
Blackjack and hookers.
so
Strippers.
I put strippers. The game doesn't have either of that, but That's the premise. It's a very, very minimal. It's literally just there to set up the premise or the set up the game. That's it.
Which is what?
It's a city builder. It's a village builder. That's it. It's like SimCity on a 1/100th scale.
How does he do this by himself?
What?
How does this one guy do this by himself?
No, it's not. No, they banished like a bunch of families. They're
It doesn't say
heartless.
that. It says you get banished.
No.
And then you start a village.
You start
by
with a
yourself.
group of at least 6 people.
True story. When a video game or a book says you, that is in the second person.
Thank you, Sean.
I
Anyways,
learned something today.
There you go.
yeah.
Learned something?
So basically, it's just a city builder, but it's very on a very smaller scale. But yeah, so I expanded really quickly. I have a lot of people in my town. When I say a lot of people, I had about 100, 110 that were adults, so they were workers. And because basically, when you make new houses, people move in and then they fuck and have kids, and then those kids eventually go to school. If you have a school,
How do they find these houses?
you build them, and then
So you're
they
telling me
instantly move in.
that only adults work, right? In your city.
Well,
I winked because Adam condones child labor.
In his basements.
But not same-sex marriage because you're a monster.
And he's a dictator.
what's wrong with you?
No one gets holidays.
Anyways,
Can men marry each other in your town?
I have no clue. I'm not the one that dictates marriage.
Just turning a blind eye to it because it's
Just ignoring it.
Because I'm Putin. Anyways, so this is Russia. So
Why do we hate Russians so much on this podcast?
No, they're awesome. Russians are awesome. Bane was the best.
anyways,
in this fictional setting called Payday 2, where he's having you rob convenience stores.
yeah,
I'm
this
blowing
makes
up malls.
sense.
How else are you gonna get vodka?
That's true. Anyways,
So the game is, like I said, I didn't expand my my food source enough, so everyone just starts dying. Like literally, like tens of people.
First mistake.
Well, not tens of people. Like
my goodness,
10
tens
people.
of people, Adam.
there are dozens of us.
Literally dozens.
That's
All
10%.
three of us
You
died.
realize that's 10% of the population. Well, actually, no. Okay, it's
not a
maybe
village.
it's maybe 5% of the
So
population
they were
because I had 100
stats.
people that were adults, but I had another 20 students and like another 30 kids, and now I'm down to like 70 adults and 15 students and
kids.
like 25 kids.
This is.
So I lost a good 30 people over the last couple of seasons.
Let's cut through this, Adam. You don't really care about these people.
No. But I still feel bad. They're all every single time
Do you
one.
feel bad?
No, because it's not like SimCity where it's like, oh, you lost some population. You don't know how they lost. Literally, there's a little pop-up saying this person starved with their name. This person, like Sean,
That was for the rest
starved.
of us. Us must have that.
Yeah,
Imagine
it's
population. You see, oh, this guy got bitten by a zombie. I'm like, no, why?
Charles, no!
Charles.
But this person literally, it's like this person starved to death. But it's like ding, 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 ding. Because there's a ding every single time.
We talked about that in an episode of Community where
Yeah.
he's like, I could take this pencil, name it Fred, and do this, and you'll get sad because he snaps the pencil in half, and Annie's like, oh, it's a pencil.
Not Fred.
Yeah, anyways, so the thing is...
That is anthropomorphism.
Yeah.
Full circle. He had me delete that from
Why?
because him and Brandon thought it was too convoluted that I was describing
Like Kingdom Hearts.
nostalgia as
Anthropomorphism.
I was anthropomorphizing an emotion.
Why would
Use
you
ponderous in the same paragraph
I did.
twice.
Ponderous.
use Jesus.
Can't you
It was
say I
it was
think?
ultimately the best paragraph that ever existed, and it was deleted from my
And
post.
this is but a tribute.
Yeah. Anyways, so they all have names, and it tells me every single time someone starves to death. It's not like my counter goes down. I'm like, oh, what happened? No, it tells me someone starved.
Yeah.
And the thing is, they always starve because of winter. Because the time I get the most amount of food is when the farmers bring all their fucking
Obviously.
Go
all the
figure,
harvest in, and then it's just oh no,
This really is just Russia Simulator.
Adam. Yeah, it is.
Disguised as...
And then it's cold for 5 years, and the economy collapses, and then people resort to eating each other.
Do they not store the food, or they just
they
eat
do
it?
store the
They're just
food. The thing
gluttons.
is, as soon as it goes into the fucking barn, they take it right away.
My God.
It's
So they're
gone.
gluttons.
It's gone right away.
Whip them.
No, but okay. Anyways, either way, like I said before, I'm gonna try another village, and I'm gonna make sure my infrastructure is a little better.
Wipe this
time.
one out and start fresh. Like every
Kill
day.
everyone and just let them slowly die while you build something else right next to
In the
it.
background,
much.
you hear ding, ding, ding.
Actually,
You started
no.
a new village.
I will probably continue this one a bit and see if I'll probably be able to salvage it because the more people die, the less food that I'll need. And then when I get
And the more food you'll get from the dead bodies.
yeah,
That is
see,
true.
No, that's not. They don't
It is winter.
cannibalize
They'll
it.
stay fresh.
The
for a
other
long
thing
time.
is, No, because what's really stupid though is because there's like this trade route that comes in and you can buy stuff from merchants, okay? But they only come every once in a while, and when you start the game, they never give you any good stuff like, you know, like fucking livestock. You don't start with any livestock. You have to get it from a trader. So near like by the time I got to this point, like right before I bloated in my population, when everything was good, I had a ton of food, I finally started getting some livestock. So I put them in some like fucking like, you know, fences and shit, and I started hurting them.
They all died.
The thing is, no, they start living, they're living good or whatever, but the thing is, you don't start slaughtering them for meat until you're at capacity, in which case, when you're over capacity, you kill one. Now, until you hit capacity, it takes a while for them to, you know...
That seems like poor farming tactics.
It does.
I had no, because I made a huge farm. I didn't make small ones. I'm going for the long haul, Dodds.
There's
the long haul.
Why don't you just make a bunch of smaller farms instead of your Walmart farm that is killing the local businessman?
Goddamn Russia.
That's just poor management.
Okay, anyways.
Goddamn Russia.
Besides the point, what I'm getting down to is... By the time I got all the livestock and a couple of different seeds, because the only way that you can grow different stuff in your fields is by getting new seeds, right?
Do you
start
have
off
to
with a
rotate the
couple.
fields?
No, you don't have to rotate fields unless they get like infested with bugs, in which case then you have to
Fire. Use dish soap and cup.
Anyways,
Works every time.
So the thing is, the first number of merchants that come in give bullshit stuff, like they bring food and shit when you barely need. Yeah, when you don't need it, they bring you all kinds of food, and you just dismiss them because they're assholes that don't bring you chickens or sheep.
Can you stockpile food?
Yes, you can, but the thing is, they keep taking it. Now the thing is,
Put it really far from them.
now I want the fucking merchant to bring food so I can fucking trade all the stone I have that I'm not building anything with for food. The only thing is, all he keeps bringing is livestock now, and I already have livestock.
This is Settlers of Catan.
This is Settlers of Catan.
This is like, instead of friendships dying, it's just artificial people.
Yeah, it's cruel. Anyway, Sean, what have you been playing?
That's a good question. I spoke a little bit about Vagrant Story last week. I played a lot more of it, and by a lot more, I mean I put another 4 hours into it.
That's
4 hours is not that bad, actually. Since last week, I think I had only put out about an hour. I've played through a lot, or what I think are a lot, of boss fights, and consistently I do no damage to any of them, which is startling.
I remember, from my experience with the game, that's what I remember.
Yeah.
Never being able to fight bosses.
Yeah, bosses I do zero. So you end up adopting these very sort of, I don't think it's necessarily creative, but I think that within the confines of the game, it is creative. One tactic is that you have... To implement skill into the game, you have offensive chains and defensive chains. And so when you are attacked or when you are attacking, there's a period in your attack animation or the enemy's attack animation where there's an exclamation point that appears above your head. Yes, Matt?
Can you switch that? Could you go mid-attack, combo to defense, then go back to attack? Or can you only stay in the attack tree or the defense tree?
You are either attacking or being attacked.
Oh, you can't attack while being attacked?
No.
Like you can't hit someone and he hits you at the same time?
No.
Okay.
No, that's a good question. You cannot do that.
So there's no parrying?
There is parrying.
It's kind of attacking at the same time. Because there'd be no point to it at that point.
Well, the way that it works is that Parasite Eve, have you played Parasite Eve?
Yeah, I played the second one.
The second one, not the first one. Anyways, when you were about to attack someone, you click the action button, and there's a sort of this hexagon or this weird... circular sphere that appears around someone. You can select parts of their body, but the time stops when you do that. And once you initiate the attack, they're locked into taking damage from you, and you are locked into doing damage with them. And in that state of attacking them, you can chain your attacks based on these exclamation points. And then by the time that ends, you do damage to them. And reciprocally, you also can defend against their attacks while they're attacking you. And so there are certain types of, just to get back on topic, against bosses, there are dragons, for example, that tend to do physical damage when they're close to you, when you're hugging up against their body. So you can counter them if you time their attack well enough to actually send 40% of whatever damage they did to you back to them. So that's one tactic of me constantly just healing myself and not doing damage to them unless they attack me, and doing... sort of poking them back until they die, which takes like 40 minutes sometimes. But then I came across another boss fight where I can imbue my weapon and instead of doing 0 damage, I would do like 30 damage.
Which is better than nothing.
Very much better than nothing. And I ended up killing it in about 10 minutes, so I felt pretty proud of myself.
You need to always go for the face. faces take more damage.
It's actually a very strange game in a lot of ways because you can choose different parts of the body. Oftentimes it makes no difference, which is strange. It affects the accuracy of your attack and slightly the damage to some extent. The game itself is a bit weird.
It would be harder to hit the arms and legs than it would.
It would be harder to hit the head usually than it would be to hit the arms.
The rest of it,
because of the actual mass.
If you hit him in the back, does it do more damage?
Depending on the enemy.
Like, do you have to be behind him to do it, or can you?
That's all.
They're always facing you.
No?
They're always facing you.
Always facing you. So you can't literally hit him in the back.
You can. Some enemies have long torsos that you can aim for their backs. Yes. So it's a very strange game. I still think it's worth people's time, especially if you are into RPGs or into very unusual types of I don't know what other type of. I guess it's an action RPG, but really there's no action to it. It feels
strategy.
There's. Well, I guess if you like strategy,
all the enemies are in the zone. You can see them, and you're able to run around in real time. So it is somewhat action, but it's still much. Like I said, it's like Fallout. Fallout isn't really it's like an action RPG, but it's not really because you freeze time.
It's in a lot of ways it's the aesthetic and the sensibilities of Dark Souls and Demon Souls, but with the combat of, as Adam pointed out, the Fallout series.
Can you stay? Sorry.
Action adventure would be more of the.
Yes and no,
but it's still very much an RPG. Okay. So like for people who enjoy the exploration elements of it, for example, enjoy the action, they'll still probably be bogged down by the very obvious stats that you need to be very mindful of. Otherwise, you're just going to sort of poke yourself into a corner and not do damage to anything.
Can you stay outside of their zone so they never attack you?
Yes. Very good question. Certain weapons have different ranges. And so a spear, for example, has arbitrarily, I'm going to throw this out there, but a 5 range, which doesn't mean anything to most people here. 5 tiles, the equivalent of 5 tiles. Okay. So some enemies don't have that range. So as long as you can maintain that distance, and yes, Matt has pointed out, you can actually prevent them from ever getting close enough to attack you. Correct. Although, with bigger weapons, they have weirder attack animations, and so it's harder for you to get into the rhythm of chaining attacks. A sword, for example, is fluid. You attack someone, and then it typically chains into you twirling your wrist and attacking them again. Whereas a spear, it's kind of thrusting, but then turning your wrists and pulling away from them, and so you can't really get down the actual attack animation. So they balance it out nicely with close-range weapons being more predictable in their flow, and bigger weapons or sort of longer-range weapons as being more clunky and cumbersome, which makes a lot of sense in the grand scheme of things. So
yeah.
Is there any projectile-based weapons?
Yes, a crossbow, which I've fallen in love with because it is very predictable in its attack animation.
Well, because you can only reload it in the game.
Yeah, he sort of like, he either shoots with both of his hands or he shoots with like this weird pose where his hand is up against his hip and he's shooting with the other arm.
Balanced, man. It's balanced.
It is perfectly balanced. And anyways, it's a good game. I very highly recommend it to people who are into very obscure, challenging RPGs.
But so could you continuously chain things then, or does it
yes,
have to end? You said that
there's a risk meter, yes. So eventually you end up not doing damage to them because the accuracy drops to like 12%.
But even if you keep flowing things together?
Yeah, because your risk is compounding with every time, because every time you chain something, you accumulate a certain amount of risk. And so irrespective of if you hit them or not, you're still gaining that risk.
So if you miss, though, does it still continue the chain?
Yes. Yeah, so because they end up, there's an animation where the enemy parries you as opposed to you just shooting off.
So that's what I'm saying. How long can you actually chain attacks for?
Indefinitely. You could actually go to a point where you have 0 accuracy, you are never going to hit them, and your risk is 100, and you can keep going. Yeah. And then when you stop, you can't do damage to them because your risk is so high, and when they hit you, they kill you instantly. Okay. So yes, you could, but why would you?
I was just saying, just keep it going for a while.
Definitely, you can, and there's strategy to that. Risk is important for healing because you actually end up healing yourself more when your risk is higher. But your spells do less damage and your accuracy is lower. So you need to really balance out your strategy. I learned the difference, your tactics. There's a difference between tactics and strategy. Balancing out your second-to-second actions with the actual plan that you've set for yourself during a boss or during a common encounter. It's actually your type of game in a lot of ways. It is.
Well, Transistor was a little...
You've never played Vagrant Story? Really?
No.
Wow.
Wow, it was a really old game for the PS2.
PS1.
Even later.
PS1.
Even later.
Yeah. All right, Dodds, what have you been playing?
Final Fantasy VII.
Really?
Whoa.
Yes. Oh, you just got it on Steam? Or?
I went buck wild in the... No, not buck wild. I spent $20 on the Steam sale.
That's it. That's
4 games.
Yeah, about 4
How much did you pay for Final Fantasy VII?
$750.
That is almost appropriate. If it was $7 even, that would have been perfect.
Yeah.
7.
I got FF7 for $7.50, FF8 for $7.50,
Whoa.
Hotline Miami for $4, and Don't Starve for like $3.50 or something.
There's
That's
no
actually
bundle for the Final Fantasy.
Pretty key.
No. Oh, maybe no. Yeah, I got the two of them together for $15.
Okay.
But they were also separate. Like I was gonna buy them separately, but then there was the two together. I love Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah.
I don't remember any of the story, so I'm just like, reliving it all over again, and it's fucking
How shitty they
fantastic.
look.
Oh, they look so bad. They're just fucking polygon cubes. Like,
Yeah,
like
the graphics are awful.
Barrett has a gun for an arm, but you don't know which one because
They're both the same.
both of them are blocks.
They're both silver blocks.
They're just both rectangles, and one of them happens to have a little turret coming out of it.
But the
That's so
cinematics. Those cinematics.
Yeah, for that time, for 1997, the gameplay goes from, because the background's a still image, like it's just a picture.
Yeah.
There's little flashing lights here and there,
Yeah.
but it goes from a still image to an animation seamlessly. Like I don't know if you remember what the fuck's that place called? The Golden.
A golden saucer.
That's it.
Yeah.
You get on the like gondola thing that takes you there. Well, you walk into the area and it's just docked and
Yeah.
there's nothing happening. There's no background animations, nothing. And you get onto it, and the second you jump on, it starts spinning and there's fire coming out of it, and it just fucking takes off with no loading time, nothing. It's just a seamless shift into an animation, which I find is really impressive for 1997.
Yeah, I'm also in love. Not in love is a strong term, but I actually really like the PS1 era for specifically that reason, where you have these pre-rendered backgrounds that sort of seamlessly integrate into what Dodds is saying, is like these sort of the environment starts to shift and change, and
Yeah.
it's nice, right? I mean, it didn't reach that state where it's the ugly sort of transitional polygonal stage.
Yeah.
It's a big black screen with a loading in the front of it.
Yeah, and even like
Exactly.
when you go in a lift or something, and it just goes from being a stationary object, but the whole time it's it's a 3D object, but you don't really realize it because it's a very flat background. And
Yeah.
when you hit a button, the whole thing just starts to move, and you don't really notice that it's a change in
Mhm.
scenery or whatever.
Mhm.
But it figures that the one game out of the 4 I bought that I'm playing is one I've already played. I haven't played Don't Starve yet. I haven't played Hotline. I tried to play Hotline Miami and it crashed on me.
Oh, really?
That's too
I
bad.
couldn't start it. It crashed.
That
So I
sucks.
restarted Steam. I tried it again. Didn't work. Same thing with Don't Starve. It also crashed on me. But I reset Steam and I managed to boot it up. I just didn't have time to play it yet.
Oh,
But I'm really happy that I've forgotten everything about Final Fantasy VII. And
Yeah.
like I've been using a little bit of a walkthrough just to speed
Help
things
it
along.
along, yes.
Yeah, because like I didn't know how to get Yuffie
Mhm.
because it's a random encounter.
Yeah, in a
And
forest.
she's just like a ninja warrior or
Yeah.
something, and you have to answer her specific.
Yep.
And she asks you 5 questions you have to answer properly in order for her to join your team.
Yep.
And there's also a way to get Vincent early on.
yeah.
With
Oh, you've put a healthy amount of time into this game.
I put 10 hours into it in 3 days.
Nice.
Oh, wow.
I'm proud of you. That's amazing. That's amazing.
And because
You have to finish
I was
it.
really pissed off because I have an Xbox controller,
Yeah.
a wired one, but it's one of those unpluggable ones. So the wire doesn't transmit data; it's only for charging.
Wow.
So you use the wireless. So I can't use it for my laptop
Yeah.
because there's no data transfer. So I'm stuck using the keyboard, which feels a little blasphemous.
Yeah, it's a bit weird.
But
But just get a wired controller, like a real
no,
wired
I'm
controller.
either going to try and I have like 6
You want a
wireless
gamepad?
controllers at home. Yeah, the cinematics are wicked.
So beautiful.
Again,
Even 8 and 9, they're all beautiful.
yeah, I
So
can't wait. I
Yeah.
really want to blow through 7 so I
Just
can get to 8. Because
so you
I
can play the
fucking
card
love
game.
8.
It's really
The
good.
card
The
game.
card game is amazing.
I've gotten almost
Oh my
all the
God.
cards in that game.
Magic eat your heart out.
Triple
And it just
triad.
did so hard, and you feel so bad for losing your cards. You have to keep playing that guy
Yeah.
until you get it
It's
back.
gambling. It was gambling for children.
Yeah.
That's what that game was when
And
it
I
came
had,
out.
really the best.
I had all the best cards. I had like the top 9 cards.
Yeah.
And I still can't win
I
sometimes.
really want to go home and play it. But,
Just for the card.
I even I went to Joe's place the other day and I was like, "Are you going to be playing GTA 5?" And he's like, "Yeah." I was like, "I'm bringing my laptop." I'm like, "Final Fantasy 7." Like, fuck
Nice.
this. But it's so simplistic
sad
and
ending.
awesome, and
Such a sad one.
I haven't even beaten the game, so
Final Fantasy VII?
Well, there was 2, I think.
Don't!
endings.
don't do it.
No,
No,
I'm
we
trying to
won't
help you
touch on
because
it. We won't touch on
at one point it gets stupid, but there's actually 2 endings. There's a canon ending and the...
Oh, there is? I
Yeah,
thought there was only one.
no, not in 7. 7's stupid like that.
Okay.
So you
That's
should...
enough. That's enough.
No, but you should read the walkthrough just so that it can help you get the good ending.
Okay.
'Cause
Yeah.
it just...
That's the thing. I'm worried about reading walkthroughs because
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's gonna spoil shit.
Yeah.
Because it's gonna be like, well, it's gonna be written. Walkthroughs now are gonna be written as if you've already beaten the game.
Yeah.
You know, not that you're trying to beat the game.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
Yeah.
No, it does.
Yeah, but I mean, these walkthroughs are written from like 10 years ago, man.
No, but the ones that I'm using
15
right
years
now
ago.
are from 2008.
Oh, well. Don't use that one then.
Well, where am I going to find one that's written from the fucking
Game
90s?
Facts.
Go to GameFAQs, man.
Oh, yeah. I guess.
Look at the one that has half a star or no star.
Yeah.
No, just look at the date it was last updated.
I'm really glad I looked at the one that got Vincent because he's fucking badass.
Yeah, he
Mhm.
is.
He's really
I
good.
played as Vince. I played with Vincent, Katesith, and Yuffie. Is it four? It's a 4-man team.
No, it's 3. You always have to have
always
close.
three, man.
So then I played with Yuffie, Katesith, and Cloud.
It's just awesome. I love how he just randomly joins our group. He's like, "Hi, I'm a."
Yeah.
He predicts the future, and then he comes up with a really fucked up prediction. And he's like, "I've never gotten this before. I have to see how this plays out, so I'm coming to hang out with you."
It's amazing. Yeah.
But yeah, it's awesome, and there's like so many somber moments, and then you like find chocobos and the fucking music.
Yeah.
The chocobos
And
are
I've got the
best.
goddamn boss music stuck in my head. Like I'm walking around work, and it's going.
Still though, that chocobo music, that's like the best driving music.
Yeah.
Just play that when you're driving
Absolutely.
everywhere. It's like traveling.
I'm
Chocobo
very
music.
best 750 I've ever spent.
It's good.
Well, 15 something for both of them.
Yeah,
Yeah, but Final Fantasy VIII is equally amazing.
it is.
So onwards,
And upwards.
yes. Airtight Games closed down.
What do they make?
Does not affect
The
me.
people that made Murdered Soul Suspect.
What?
And,
Oh, no.
Quantum Conundrum.
Holy
Oh, but Quantum
shit.
Conundrum was
down.
actually pretty fun.
Yeah, but I don't care. But like, Murder just came out.
Just came out and they
And they got
closed
Oh,
the
so they
studio.
probably knew that they were closing down when the game was
Maybe, I don't know. I mean, they're owned by Square Enix, right?
$12, so I can buy it for super
Huh.
cheap.
Yeah. But I mean, Square Enix owned them, right? So they just shut them down.
Oh shit!
Apparently, it's just like someone went by or whatever, and it's just like the building was vacant, vacated,
Wow.
and there was a
An
sign saying
employee
they're closed.
an employee. Went
No, I think it was some journalist or something.
Employee. Yeah, all the employees show up. We're closed. It's
Yeah.
fine.
No, that's
The building was just vacant. I thought, yeah, it's really ridiculous.
Wow, that's
Quick turnover.
Yeah,
Well, they probably didn't sell many copies of the game.
but even
It
at that,
just
I'm sure
came
they
out.
already knew when they were releasing
Yeah.
the game that they were closing down.
This was their
Probably not actually. They probably knew right after they finished.
Exactly. Otherwise, it would be completely demotivated.
Complacent and like
Yeah.
yeah.
A lot of Easter eggs with their junk in it.
Find random penises everywhere.
Yeah. The only other thing was they had like this week had like random. It was a random charity event with people doing speed runs for everything.
Yeah, that's an actual event every year.
Yeah, and they're like the live stream stuff. Someone like there's 2 new world records or whatever. Someone beat Fallout 3 in under 24 minutes.
What?
Yeah,
How?
That's
Is there a
impossible.
there's a video. There's a couple of glitches, but you can actually do it.
It takes you
Basically-
24 minutes just to get out of the first vault.
Yeah.
No, he's like fucking like
Okay.
he's like going as fast as possible. But the thing is, there is like a couple of glitches that you can do to get it to go faster. When everything is still loading, you can actually glitch through walls and you end up falling through the terrain, and it ends up just like resetting you to like the closest
Checkpoint
part.
or
Yeah,
whatever.
the closest part 2 or whatever. So you're basically, from what it looked like, is you're falling through the earth and you can see the rest of the map, and then you end up just being somewhere else. But I'm not sure where exactly you were. It looked kind of like you were in the same spot, but obviously you weren't because you were further along the
Well, the
level.
entire map looks the same usually when you're
Yeah.
in the same area.
So when you
Anyways-
say that you can beat the game in 24
No,
minutes,
no,
you
but
can't
he's-
beat the game in 24 minutes.
Well, you can with a couple of glitches, but the only thing that it goes by quicker is that
The
you.
travel time.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the longest portion of it was that it was him running from point A to point B. Like there was 2 segments where he was jogging for like 10 minutes.
So it took him 4
4
minutes
minutes to beat the game.
No, but I mean that's
Wait,
semantics.
rewind.
He
How does
never
this- how
even
does this-
fights anything. He runs through stuff.
No,
Like he
which-
just runs.
How does
you don't
this
have to fight
charity?
anything.
How does this charity event work?
Well,
People
whenever
pay
people-
money
because
to
no,
watch
no, they're
people
streaming
speedrun?
online.
Donate. They're streaming on Twitch and people donate, and all the proceeds go to charity.
No, well, some of these guys are actually pretty good. Like they actually,
Yeah,
there's games-
someone beat Mario in under 5 minutes, like the first Mario on
Wow.
Nintendo.
Well, yeah, it's just a.
Yeah, but see, the thing is, he beat the old world record by like a few seconds because there's a small little glitch with a bomb on, no, not a bomb on, with a bullet bill. Basically, in one of the levels in like the 8th world or whatever, there's bullet bills, and he let one go, and he was following it for a little bit, and let it continue on until the flag, and he jumped on it at the flag, and it stopped him from walking to the castle, and then started counting down like the coins for the timer for the score. Right away, instead of like 2 seconds it takes him to walk to the house, and that's why he won.
Well, that's what speedrunning
Wow.
is now. It's not actually about beating a game. It's finding glitches and doing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I disapprove of this.
Yeah, I know
But
it's not really real.
No, I
but-
see the appeal.
No, but that's what there's
Messing around.
actual
Yeah,
games now
yeah.
that are meant for speedrunning. Like there's,
Hmm.
they base them. I don't know if you saw it on Steam. It was a big special. for a while.
No, I didn't
But
see
it's essentially a speed running game. You're just
Wow.
like a 3D character running on this 3D world, and you try to avoid it, try to get to the end as fast as
You are
possibly
literally
can.
describing every single video.
it.
No, but like literally, the whole point is to get to that point as fast as you can, with
Yeah.
nothing in between.
I think that's a
I don't
pretty
know.
good idea, though, to have a speedrunning
Yeah.
video game.
But I'm like, I would never play this.
It almost defeats the purpose, though. But sometimes it doesn't even make sense when you're like looking at people's scores. Like even when I play like Gran Turismo, I'm looking at the top scores of someone's race. I'm like, how is that even fucking
no, some
possible?
people are.
But it takes me that amount of time to do one lap,
That's what I'm saying.
and I'm not terrible at the game.
A lot of people are just hacking.
Yeah,
Like,
probably.
even in what's it called, Dynasty Warriors, when I was doing it, all the number ones, they were for sure all hacking because it was legitimately impossible to do that. Like,
Yeah.
they tried it, they calculated the time perfectly, and like, you can't. It's
Yeah.
impossible to do. Even at the best, you cannot make that.
Hmm.
It's like any phone, right? When you look at the phones, the top scores, it's always like a dev, and he has like the highest score
Yeah.
Yeah.
because he's just putting it because he's being a dick.
Yeah.
He is being a dick.
I'm sure you would have done that with all your video games. Like,
Yeah.
who's number one? I am.
Nothing beats the
Ah.
top scores at that golf game at the Club West Island bar. Everyone, all of the top scores are just like ass, sex,
Gay.
Wow.
gay.
Gay.
Of course. Of course.
Yeah, it's really
no one's
funny.
put fag though, which I'm actually kind
No
of
one-
happy
yeah.
about.
That's good.
That's funny.
Indeed.
Anyways,
And there's always half naked chicks in the loading screens for some reason.
for some reason that doesn't even make sense.
So it
Yeah.
was like Blitz.
Blitz.
For the N64. There's always like
NFL
half,
Blitz?
like there's like cheerleaders like wearing almost nothing, posing in all the.
But it was on the N64, so
Yeah.
what were the
They were,
blocks?
they were polygons indeed.
Wait,
Yeah.
that reminds me of Mafia 2, where the collectibles were Playboy magazine covers.
It was good. Mafia 2 is a really
Some
good
of them
game.
were good. Some of them aged very poorly.
Hmm.
Let's just say. Some women are
It's
not
like a then
attractive
and now.
Yeah.
Why am I looking at this?
This
God.
November 1962.
This is her now. It's a grave.
Oh.
How could any of these women
No,
still
there's a
be
hole in the
attractive?
ground.
They would all be in their like 80s.
Yeah.
Unless you're secretly telling us that you find 80 people attractive.
80 people?
80
people in your
I think I
village
find more
attractive.
than 80 people attractive.
Yeah. Anyways, anyone got a question this week?
I kind of do. But
Is it convoluted, Sean?
it is very convoluted. We have to ponder the anthropomorphic qualities of no.
You have to ponder twice, though.
Ponder, yeah, because it had it twice. That's weird.
Ponderous, not just ponder.
Ponderous.
All right.
Yes.
So last week I ended up completing a video game as there was Wrath, but the fourth portion of it. No, it's not done. I'm not done, Adam. I'm not done.
He beat a game.
The fourth section. I don't know if it's a section,
I think
chapter,
it's
whatever,
DLC or whatever. Chapter.
is DLC. You have to pay for it.
Okay, that was the prologue you were telling me about.
It wasn't a prologue. It's the actual. It's not really even an epilogue. It's like an actual chapter.
Sorry,
of
the
it.
prologue. Yeah, epilogue.
It's the actual last portion. Yeah, it is. It's the last portion of the game that is canon with the rest of the game.
But since it doesn't come with it, it's an epilogue.
Exactly. And politics aside as to whether or not Capcom, they were in the right, they were in the wrong. I'm just curious. Because Dodds was also talking about Final Fantasy VII and how it cost him $750 and how that is tremendous value. And I was just curious at all if you guys have ever purchased a game, right? Let's argue for whatever reason that it's a full price game, that there was added DLC to it, and you felt that added DLC either created additional value for the game, or if it sort of took away from the overall experience that you guys had with having paid the full price for that. I don't know if that's sort of abstract.
Yeah, no, I get it. The one thing that would piss me off the most is if fighting games did that.
Which this is.
Well, it's sort of it's a story heavy.
it's a story.
No, but I'm talking
there is
about
fighting,
like Street Fighter 4. If that did that, like it had 20 characters, and it's like, well, usually you unlock them in the game, but you can spend $10 and you'll get them all now.
Yeah.
It's fucking pretty dumb.
I mean, you've played a lot of shooters,
Yeah.
specifically Call of Duty.
I bought DLC for Halo 3
What'd you get? Maps?
maps.
Yeah, it's
and
mostly maps.
I
for Halo.
believe Modern Warfare 2, and after that I stopped paying for DLC.
Okay.
For the most part, every shooter will always have map
Map
packs.
And the only downside to not buying them is your matchmaking is limited.
Yeah. And it's really dumb. Remember when we used to play Battlefield 2, Bad Company 2, or Battlefield 3? And no, you'd be playing, and then if someone... We'd get kicked out of the round
okay.
because the game is going into a map that you don't have,
Yeah.
so you're going back to the fucking matchmaking. Like, the fuck is this bullshit?
Yeah. I mean, I was also very upset. Not very. I was sort of taken aback because I'd paid $20 for Azura's Wrath.
Mhm.
The DLC doesn't depreciate at the same rate, obviously, as the retail game. So I ended up spending $7 on it, and I did a lot of research before I bought this, and everyone said that the actual last 3 chapters are the best part of the game.
Okay.
Objectively, like everyone unanimously said that, and so I'm like, okay, whatever. I'll bite the bullet with it. And it actually feels like the developers put a lot of actual effort into this. It feels like there's an added level of polish, for example.
Yeah, but should have already been there. Is that your question?
No, my question is just like, have you guys paid for DLC and been satisfied with it? You felt that it actually genuinely enhanced the experience versus DLC that felt very, like you bought it, but you feel very disappointed with it? Because I've bought in DLC before that is just costumes, and I've been very disappointed with it, obviously. You know?
There was no point in me buying DLC for those games. The maps were garbage when it was just like thrown together shit.
So sometimes you're you've grown. You played Halo a lot, right? And you grow, like, you have a fondness for the maps that are already there. So when new ones just come in, and you're just like, this isn't what I'm used to.
Yeah,
fuck this shit. I don't want to do that. It's change.
Because in first-person shooters, knowing the maps is 75% of that game.
Yeah, of course.
When you get the new ones in, getting used to it sucks, but some of these maps were just utter trash.
Yeah.
Like it was $15 and you got like 4 maps. Like, fuck that. BioShock Infinite, on the other hand, that doesn't really count because I didn't pay for the DLC myself. I got the game for my birthday along with the season pass. Okay. But I would not have regretted spending the extra money because those DLCs... Well, okay, the first one felt a little rushed.
Yeah.
It was really glitchy.
And it was 2 hours... Well, an hour
and it was
and a
about
half.
2 hours long. But the second one was fan-fucking-tastic.
I don't think I've ever purchased DLC except for Rock Band. And that was incredibly enjoyable because it was just more songs.
Right.
And it's not like it's... You spend a couple of dollars getting another song.
And they do have free songs.
Yeah, they do have free songs every once in a while, and the game comes with, a bunch of songs, right? But just the fact that, like, when, Rock Band was actually popular, they released new songs every week, and every once in a while, it was like, oh, fuck, Blink-182 songs. Yeah, fuck yeah, I'm downloading that.
Did you know that Aerosmith made more money from Rock Band Aerosmith than they did on any of their studio albums?
How is that possible?
What?
Wow.
Well, think about it. They release an album, in-store price is, $19?
Not to mention the record company is going to get all that money.
And every single one of their hardcore fans is going to buy that.
$60 for the game.
Rock Band is $60.
Yeah.
But every single diehard Aerosmith fan is going to buy that. That was a fun fact I saw on the internet the other day.
So speaking of DLC, Payday 2 did it very well. Yeah. Because there's a thing, I bought a lot of DLC because it was like 99 cents per pack. Mm-hmm. There's like weapon packs, map packs, and different, I think it's just different masks they give you with certain each packs. But it's shared. It's like a community thing. Like that big bank I was talking about, I don't actually have the DLC for that.
No.
But the guy that was running us, like there's 4 of us, he's like in charge.
Oh, he was the host.
He had it.
Okay.
And we can join his game.
See, that's cool. That works. Yeah. Because, like, if you're the host and you have the map, then yes, you're able to play it, right?
Even grenades. Like, I bought a grenade pack, so now I have 3 grenades on me. It's shared. I can buy a pack now in-game for everybody else.
See, that would be cool if it wasn't like Battlefield. If we played Battlefield and one of us had the map pack, instead of kicking the person in because he doesn't have it, we're on the same squad, where we joined in the same map, he has it, let me fucking play.
Yeah. Or to build off of that, let's say, for argument's sake, that in Battlefield, because that's the only example that I could use, we all have access to the map, but if everyone has paid for that map, there should be something else that's added to it. So you still have the basic map, but if it's everyone who's paid for it, the map should change in some way that it should accommodate for people to reward people, right? Because otherwise, it would de-incentivize people. You would just have someone who you would know would host it. We'd always jump into them.
No, but I'm saying it differently. I'm not saying one person hosts and everyone gets the map. I'm saying, to the point where we got kicked out because we didn't have it. But if one of us had it, if we're in a squad of 1 to 4, we're not the 30 people, right?
Right.
But we're in a squad of 2 to 3 to 4 people. One person has the map pack. At least let us join the match with him instead of fucking kicking us.
Yeah. That's cool. Just to go back to Dodds for a second, he had mentioned BioShock Infinite's DLC. I thought that that's a perfect example, and I think that Dishonored also did it very well, where once the game is released, they're probably very realistically, depending on the studio, working on the DLC. Yeah. But the second DLC was possibly being developed well after the first game. The game itself had been released. So there was time for it to incorporate the feedback of the game proper, which is always amazing, because for Azura's Wrath, again, I don't know when they developed the DLC, but from my understanding... It was later.
It was a lot later.
It was a lot later because the developers could not release what they had envisioned would be the final product because Capcom wanted to release it, the publisher-developer dynamic. So they ended up working on this DLC because they wanted a true ending to it. And so what they ended up doing was, as I had mentioned, the bosses were more dynamic, or the one boss I fought so far has been more dynamic. The animations themselves are more... There's a fluidity to it. The QuickTime events are more interesting. I've noticed that there's more variety into them. It's more complex. And so this is a very good chance for the developers to incorporate ideas that they couldn't develop or that they didn't have the resources to develop, and then incorporate that into a product which is, for all intents and purposes, better than the retail release. It's just this weird way of, for example, remastering a album 15 years later. I mean, it's a different analogy, but it sort of plays similar to some extent. So.
Except we do it once a year, every year for 15 years.
I mean, it's a different medium, right? I mean, video games and music, and the annualization of DLC versus...
The problem with DLC for the major, like, AAA titles and stuff, EA is just using it to make money. But if you get games like Borderlands, Bioshock, Fallout, Far Cry, it's not... You're not withholding... content and then releasing it afterwards. You're creating new content that you couldn't because of publisher time restraints. So it eliminates the degrading in value of games because of deadlines. So you release maybe an unpolished game, but then you can reward your fans later on with what you wanted to add for a little bit extra more. I think $15 is the average price for DLC. I still think that's a little bit too much. But it's like, apparently, what is it? Blood Dragon's the DLC for Far Cry? From what you guys have told me, it's amazing.
Dragon. Yeah, but Blood Dragon isn't even, it's a standalone game.
But this also brings in a very other different, not really that different, but very different. Blood Dragon, or not even Blood Dragon, but I was reading an article on Destiny, and Activision, I think it's Activision who's the publisher, are pouring in, I think it's $300 million into, but you have to think about it for a second. It's not just the game that they're investing in, it is the engine, it is the world, so that what happens is that they can actually make money down the road, not necessarily just off of Destiny, but off of Destiny's offspring or whatever it is. And so similarly, let's say Far Cry 3 is released and people are like, this is a really good sandbox game. There is more to be had about Far Cry 3 that is more of a sort of a slight jump. It wouldn't be enough to them to make a sequel. They could release a DLC pack, invest much less time into it. It really just be reskinning a lot of the environment, and then sort of brainstorming different dynamics, right? You don't even really need to necessarily add new weapons. I mean, they did, but not really. And so they could bring a lot of value to Far Cry 3, let alone to Blood Dragon, by sort of repackaging and reskinning that, because that feeds back into the initial investment. So that's good DLC as well.
That's what they did with Bioshock.
Exactly.
They took the first-person shooter, bang, bang, shoot 'em up, whatever, reskinned it, turned it into a stealth game. And it was phenomenal.
It was. And it sort of Infinite had elements of it, but not really ever, okay, this is a stealth experience. You know, it sort of teetered on it a little bit with the screaming section towards the end, with that person, the helmet, exactly. Where that you sort of felt, because you could actually go through that stealth. I didn't know that because I didn't really approach it that way, and but to turn that into a full-fledged experience, as Dodds is saying, is actually pretty ingenious, and it's a good way of reminding us that video games as business are relevant, right? It isn't just an art form, it's a business, and that the good developers, the good publishers, the good designers are mindful of how they can multiply profits while also multiplying the enjoyability of the experience for gamers.
Like I said, I don't really buy DLC other than the music ones that I did. I don't think I've bought anything else. But I know my sister and her boyfriend, like they buy, like they have all the DLC for Borderlands 1 and 2, and they love it all.
Apparently they're amazing.
There's too many mass ones for 2. I get them, but like they charge you for each one, like $5 for each one almost.
Well, I don't know if they have all the extra characters. They have all the extra content, all the extra map, like all the extra like chapters or the side missions and stuff.
I got the season pass. They give you 4, and then they release all the headhunter packs.
Okay, what's the headhunter packs?
Oh, there's just like separate little, like it's like a little island or something, a little level. You just go in, you kill things, and you get more masks.
Okay, I don't think they bought those. I think they bought the full like the one for the first Borderlands, like that zombie island.
Well, those are just like those are the season
zombie
pass.
island of Dr. Ned.
That's it. That's like a full-fledged other area, with a lot of different maps, or a lot of different missions.
That's what the DLC usually is when you buy the season pass. It gives you a full area.
This is more for Brandon than anything else, if he ever listens to this. Can you farm until you get to a point where you cannot get any more masks? So in other words, no more masks.
No, because they keep dropping anyways.
That was for you, Brandon.
You just
That was
can't
for
pick them
you.
up, though, just to answer the question.
And on that note, that's it for us. So like, comment, subscribe. Check us out on Facebook, YouTube, blah, 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 blah.
Twitter,
Pizza,
Kindle,
Instagram,
Tinder, which is being
Brandon's
sued
Instagram.
right now
Really?
for sexual harassment.
Oh, of course.
No, guy.
They should just sue
No,
the
by a
person.
woman who was the vice president of marketing, who was sexually.
He was sexually harassing someone.
Oh.
Eh.
Yeah, well, I guess so.
So
Anyways,
it's not technically
You
Tinder.
work in that environment.
before we get too far away,
It's a self-fulfilling prophecy.
check out the blog, gamerbasement.com, and we'll catch you next week.
I actually pimped out the blog to a random person today.